Welcome back to MomCom. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Shannon.
If you're raising a daughter, today's episode is for you.
As moms, we spend so much time preparing our kids for life's big moments. But there's one milestone that can still feel awkward, confusing, and honestly, a little intimidating for both girls and parents, their first period.
Today's guests are Dana Roberts and Monica Williams, the founders of Scarlet by Red Drop, a brand that is changing the way girls experience this important transition.
What started as a teacher's desire to help young girls feel prepared and confident has grown into a movement that's helping families have better conversations, build confidence, and remove their fear and stigma that so many of us grew up with.
In this episode, we talk about motherhood, entrepreneurship, first periods, perimenopause, and full circle experience of raising daughters while navigating our own changing seasons of womanhood.
We laughed, we shared stories, and honestly, we found ourselves wishing something like Scarlet had existed when we were growing up.
So whether you're raising a daughter, supporting a young girl in your life, or simply love hearing from women who are building businesses with purpose, you're going to love this conversation.
Let's dive in.
First, I want to say what an honor it is to have you both here with us today. Not only are you creating this brand that is changing the game in period products, but you are giving girls confidence and education. And what you're doing is going to change everything for future generations to come. And I think that is so big. And it actually gives me chills when I think about it. But before we get into the brand and learning how that started, I really just kind of want to get to know each of you and how you know each other.
I can start.
Yeah, go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Atlanta, and I am the mother of 3 beautiful humans.
Oh.
And I know Monica through she is married to my godbrother. And so that's how we met when they started dating and they got married. And that's pretty much how we have, how we met each other.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense.
People I met, and my husband is born and raised in Atlanta. Born in Atlanta, lived in Atlanta, is gonna die in Atlanta. That's his thing. And his family used to have these cookouts on Saturdays. His dad was famous for his barbecues. So the whole family would come over, neighborhood friends would come over. And when I met his parents was at one of these barbecues, and Dana happened to be there. So I'd only been dating him for a short time when we met. She was one of the first people in his family that I met.
Oh, and the rest is history.
It is.
And now you're creating this amazing brand and impacting all these generations for all these girls. I mean, this is amazing.
Well, thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
And, I appreciate that. The other thing I really like to think about, we are definitely creating a brand, but and kind of like we were talking about in this phase of life, what we really see ourselves creating is a new category. Because for so long, girls have used adult products because we had to, right? But the reality is that this phase of life, kind of like menopause and perimenopause, is a separate phase of life where there should be products that are made just for girls, for their bodies, for a better experience, for their caretakers. And we have been the innovators in that space, and we're really proud of that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I know. So it's so wonderful to hear how you met. And Dana, you were a school teacher. And so can you share a little bit more about what inspired the products? And let's talk a little bit more about that and how the two of you decided we're going to be those innovators in this space. Because Monica, as you said, those products didn't exist. When we were going through this, it didn't exist. It was the products made for adults that we just had to use. There was no education around it. It was there was really this stigma, to be honest, around, I think a lot of us didn't really have those conversations. It was just sort of figure it out, right?
Right.
So would love to talk a little bit more about, again, the sort of the origins and how, Dana, your experience as a teacher, and I've, some of the things you've heard your students say and the worries that they had, and then how you two decided, let's go for it?
Yeah. So, my oldest daughter's 28, and I always use that as a reference because she was in fifth grade at the time. And I had a fifth grade girls class. So that was about, what, 18 years ago? And I was teaching in a all gender classroom, so specific all girls. And I started to recognize that girls were starting their periods with me. And I was the kind of point of reference. I was their North Star. I was like helping and ushering them through this experience. And I just realized like they are grossly unprepared. And then when I started talking to some of the adults, whatever caretaker, they were equally unprepared, almost shocked. Like, oh my gosh, like, and I'm like, well, she knew she was going to have a period, right? so, and so I had 22 girls. I'll always remember that. I had 22 girls. And one day, one of my girls, I had to go in the bathroom and she was crying and she looked me dead in my face and she said, "Miss Roberts, am I dying?" And it really impacted me so much so that I was like, okay, I'm going to create these kits. And so I called them the first purse. And literally I had everything in there that I thought that they would need. Underwear, tampon, pad, wipes, little sensible bags, you know, and we had a kind of an unspoken hand signal. So when they needed to go to the bathroom, they went to the bathroom. It was no conversation. It was just do what you needed to do. And it just really resonated with me. It just really impacted me. And to be honest, because I had two daughters, it was even more impactful because I just thought it was unfair in a sense, that I was the one that was doing this. And while I was certainly okay with it, I just did not want that experience for my own daughters. And so fast forward, Monica was in deep with her first business. And this was, like in the trenches where you call your family and friends and you're like, hey, I need to pack orders. And so I went over to her house and we were all like an assembly line packing orders. And I stopped her, and I was like, hey, I have this idea. And to be fair, we were in the middle of packing all of her orders and she had just started this business and she probably was, when I think about it, overwhelmed, right? And then B, her daughter, my niece, Mackenzie, was an infant. And so there wasn't, and I'll let her, speak about that. A lot of, what can I say? Like you couldn't resonate with it at the time because she's an infant.
Yes.
And so really it was paused at that moment. And I kept really making an impact on how I could. So through my classroom, and then I became an administrator and just really kept doing the kits and just impacting the way I could at that time until Monica called me. And do you want to take it over from there?
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So from my perspective, for sure, I experienced it probably more from the side that Dana's parents did. Like she mentioned, Mackenzie was an infant when she brought the idea. And I would imagine now in this business, if you can think back to when we started packing these orders at my house, if someone came to you with a new idea, it's kind of like, whoa, what the heck? I got enough going on. So we kept living, or I kept living, and Mackenzie turns 10. And you all have young kids, so you know what it is. They start to be stinky, like really stinky. And it's
Yes.
unbelievable how stinky they are. And my husband, thankfully, this was his third daughter, but had this experience before. And he started saying, like, Monica, she's going to have a period. I was like, what the heck? And I'm a physician. So you can imagine I should be in the best situation, the most prepared to have the kind of conversation that you need to have
with the daughter. But I could not figure out how to have this conversation without making it sound like a lifelong disease. And can you imagine? I know biologically, physiologically, everything that's happening inside her body. I should be able, I can explain this to patients. Why can't I explain it to my daughter? And then extrapolate that over the human population. And if you don't have that information and your mom, like you said, you just kind of figure it out. And not because it was any mom's fault, but our moms probably really didn't know what was happening inside them unless they were really highly educated medical professionals, because their moms absolutely did not know what was going on inside them. This is the kind of knowledge that is passed on generations, oral history, right? So that's when I called Dana, and it was like, okay, how do we put our heads together? Because the other side of this is, like, I'm a pretty small person. Mackenzie's definitely a small person, and there just weren't products that would fit her either. So we sat down. Ironically, I remember it like it was yesterday. It happened in Dallas's mom's living room. She used to keep kids. And it was this, set up so it was like an open concept, if you will, and like this sectional couch. And we sat on the couch, and Dallas was there, Dana was there, and I was there, and Mackenzie was downstairs. And we sat there and we talked about it, and it was like, okay, we can get these things from these companies or whatever. And if I'm being honest, and this is probably the first time we told the whole story, Dallas is the one that said those products aren't going to fit that baby. Like thinking about Mackenzie. And it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, how do we really think about how this can work together? And Dana has extreme experience in communicating with children and adults and the education side of it. Because this is at this point was my third business, I have pretty deep knowledge in supply chain and how to figure out what products we need to get. And so we start working from there. And I don't want to say the rest is history because there's a lot of twists and turns that happen between now and then. But it was really those two very different experiences that I'd say really formed this concept.
Let's take a quick break.
Shannon, I just read the most life-changing book.
Okay, I'm listening. What is it?
It's called Good Girl, Bad Mom.
That title alone says a lot. Tell me more.
The author, Dr. Danielle Dowling, is a mom, a psychologist, and a life coach. She opens up about her real struggles with motherhood.
The kind of stuff moms feel but just never say out loud?
Exactly. She even says something I have thought so many times. I don't like the work of being a mom.
Wow, that's honest.
And she explains it in a way that makes so much sense. You can love your child deeply and still not like the work of motherhood. Those are two different things.
That really feels like something a lot of moms need to hear.
I wish I had this book 10 years ago when I was overwhelmed and felt alone.
So where can people get the book?
It's available now on Amazon. Good Girl, Bad Mom. Yes, thank you for sharing that. I too am an entrepreneur. I've owned 3 businesses, and I guess I was so curious to kind of know your backstory too, because I know how hard it is to take the idea and get it going. And along the way, I mean, you have to be so rooted in what you're doing and persistent and just know like there's going to be a lot of twists and turns, and you just got to keep going and you got to persevere and figure it out. And so I guess I was just super interested in how you guys like got it down this far. I mean, you're now in Ulta. We were so excited to get that news. You're in Walmart. You are just going big. And it's exciting to see, especially since you've worked. I mean, this idea, it didn't come to fruition right away, right? But it's there now. And so that must be so exciting.
I'll speak for myself. It is exciting. It's also something that I'm really proud about because this definitely was not something that was handed to us. We have worked really hard to do this. And I'm not saying that we're, self-made. I really honestly hate that phrase. We're not self-made because we stand on the shoulders and have gotten so much help from our friends and family and partners and organizations that have chosen to support us. But this is, to your point, this has been really, really hard to get here. And I mean, we're just at the beginning, because for us to truly serve these girls, we're in, 500 Walmart stores, 500 Ulta stores. That's 1,000 doors across this country. We really need to get to 20,000 doors where girls have access to the kind of products and support that we can provide. And so, yes, it's exciting. It has been really hard, and we've earned every step of this, but this is just beginning.
I love
Yeah.
that. And hearing these origin stories, it's incredible, because what I'm hearing too is just that it's so genuine, and the passion and the timing, Monica. It feels like, and Dana, the timing was so critical, because Dana, as you said, from your experience, seeing this gap in the market, and then Monica, with your own experience with your daughter, when it came together, it feels like that timing was so, it needed to be the right time to make the two of you come together to develop this. And as you said, I can only imagine the hard work and all of the hours that have gone into it, but it's incredible to see all of the growth. And as you said, this is just the beginning. I'm sure I can't wait to hear sort of what's next, and the additional plans that, you also all just went through a rebrand, which would be interesting to talk a little bit more about that, because obviously, I'd love to hear when you're sitting on that couch, did Red Drop, did you come up with that name right away? Did you have to, naming is really important and really critical. And then obviously the recent name change, because you're seeing sort of expansion and where you want to go. So would love, I think Nicole and I were chatting a bit and wanted to hear more about how the name came to be, and kind of the new brand, if you will.
You opened a lot of cans of worms there, Shannon. So, like,
I'm good at that.
timing,
You're
yeah.
good at that, Monica.
Step back. Let's go back to timing.
Dramatic.
Well, part of it. But the timing, let's talk about the timing for a second. Not just our timing, Dana and my timing, but the timing in the world. Because there are companies that came before us that had period kits or had, products that were, I won't say they were as good as ours, but, in many ways similar, like where we started, and the world wasn't ready. So in some ways, we were really lucky. Like, our timing, we synced up at a time when Dana and I were both open to doing this, but also in the USA, people have been doing the same thing for generations. So, like, this didn't happen. I really feel like this was ordained. It's like, this is our mission to be here at this moment, because this didn't happen just because of us. The world and the US has been ready to accept the kind of change that we're bringing here. So I think that's amazing. All right, go ahead to your trauma, Dana. I'll be quiet.
Oh, no.
Sorry to have to go into trauma.
I
love a good trauma story.
Well, you tell the story better about how we became Red Drop, because that was not
My
us.
friend.
Yeah, that was your friend.
So the Red Drop piece, and it's funny you say that, Shannon, because you're right. To be in Ulta, we went through the accelerator, and part of their accelerator, we get to listen to big companies like Anastasia. She's made, $1 billion. Listen to their origin stories and how they started. And so there was this one, they make laundry stuff, Sniff. It was two men. They make really pricey laundry detergent and stuff like that. And they spent some inordinate amount of money and like a year on branding. And would we like to do that? For sure. Everyone knows that you should do a good branding package to begin this. Do case studies and do market research to figure out what's going to resonate.
Analysis,
all of that. We didn't have any money. In fact, for my second business, I waited tables to get enough capital to start the business. It was, super low. And so it was a very fancy place in Atlanta where I waited tables. So I made lots of money. Yeah, right. But one of the other guys that worked there with me, he was working his way through school. Both of us were older. And I made friends with him. And he started working after he graduated in a branding agency. So he became someone that I just leaned on for like, hey, what we're thinking about doing this. Oh, it's a good idea. Oh, that idea sucks. And when it came down to name, we sat at, I think it was Pond City Market, wasn't it, Dana? Sat in Pond City Market, and we're just like, F it. We have to do something, because as you know, like your MVP, you really just need to know if someone's going to trade their money for your idea. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter the name. At that stage of us going hand to hand or whatever, the name really doesn't matter. It's whether the product is good and the idea and the mission will resonate with people. Because the packaging is going to be crappy. Like those MVPs, it never looks good. So we went with Red Drop because we didn't have any money and we just needed to get out there. And if I'm also being super honest, and Dan, this is your part of the story, I came up with like blossoms. That was what I had in my head. So why don't you tell her about that?
She said blossoms, and I was like, I literally will not do this brand with you if you call it blossoms. And I was like, it's not a flower. It's not blossoming. It's not this like delicate such. It's terrible. It's sometimes painful. It's like, and then we had First Period Club. We did that.
Okay.
That was one of the, and then we just settled on Red Drop. And I honestly loved Red Drop because I felt like it was it was in your face. It was like it was very unapologetic. It's like, hey, this is what happens, you know? And because we always associate blood with trauma. And so really just trying to help change the narrative that way, where this isn't traumatic. And we often say like, hey, you know, girls, like if you're not having your period, that means your body isn't working well. Like something is happening. And so while I understand it might be uncomfortable, it's definitely not what we want to wake up and have to deal with every day. But we want your body to go through this process because that means you have a healthy, growing body.
Right.
And so Red Drop, actually, I mean, we definitely got a lot of feedback on the name, you know, from it being crass to, you know, this is terrible to this is great. You know, everybody has an opinion, you know, and honestly, for me, I think I just really dig down like everybody has an opinion. So that's just it. Like, doesn't matter. And then we got to the Ulta Accelerator, which was great. The Ulta Accelerator was amazing. We had an amazing cohort of brands. And we finally got through the end, and then we have to do a pitch. And everyone pitches and you know, to Ulta to see if you can get on shelf. And we were one of the 2 brands that they accepted. However, you got to rebrand. And I don't even remember what month that was because it was a whirlwind. And to be honest, we had just rebranded.
Oh,
Say rebranded. We had just changed our bag package. The name was still the same, but we had just changed all of our like branding on our innards and everything.
so you just spent all of that money and time, and now you're hearing this again?
Let's be clear. When we repackaged, it was not, I mean, yes, we spent money that we didn't have to spend if we just bought the same thing over again, but we didn't do what we did with Scarlet.
Okay.
So it's like
Yeah.
we
So
hired
it
another
wasn't.
one of my friends to like graphic design some stuff. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
It was definitely a different process. And so Ulta kind of put their line in the sand. To be fair, they did give us some support.
That's nice.
What is it, Monica? What do we say? The branding agency helped us. And really, you know, they did the work. They did a focus group. They came to us with like 5 or 6 names. And this was the one that resonated with us. But they had some cute names in there. And this was the one that resonated with us. And then we just had to rebrand and we got an amazing designer. And she did a great job because we really wanted it to be fun and approachable, but also a little modern and sleek, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think she did a really great job. And that's how we got there. And we did it in how many months?
it was less
3
than
months?
6. less
3
than
months.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, less
That
than
is so
6. The
impressive.
process was 3, but we had to have so, let me just back up because I was floored by this. Back to the, like, having the money to do this. The branding agency that Ulta supported us with, which was amazing, for $18,500, they gave us 6 names. That was the extent of the work for almost $20,000. I had no idea that's how that process worked. I thought and then because then when they gave us the support, I was like, "Okay, this is it." I thought we were gonna get from new name to like, the whole package. I was so and I think they were taken aback that I could think that that was what was covered for this amount of money because they were like, "Okay," and it took them a month to come up with the names. So then I'm like, "Okay, so when do we get to see the package?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I mean, we can do some simple mock-ups, but this is the extent of our engagement."
They're like, "That's an additional scope." So, I work at branding agencies, Monica, so that's why I'm laughing because this is the experience it's wild because these price tags are massive. And always the conversation is, wait, so I'm basically getting a piece of paper at the end with a couple things, and that's what you're saying is worth 20 grand? Yeah.
And I'm the entrepreneurial background, and every company I've started with no money, no investors. We own an international logistics company. I started that company with nothing. I was doing customs brokerage to get some money coming in. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was going to learn it and we were going to do it. And then everything kind of organically went from there. But I would never spend money like that. It like hits me in my stomach, especially now today too. Like the AI world has just open doors, and my kids are creating businesses using chat gpt, and they're creating their logos, and so whew, it's a journey. It's a journey.
Man, that was crazy. I was so unprepared for that. I mean, thankfully, they did turn us on to our graphic designer. I think she is wonderful. Ulta also turned us on to, like, a creative director. I'm not really sure how to put the title under this, but her job or what she did for us, I think really undergirded so much of the success because she had us really sit back and think about our audiences. We had done a really good job as Red Drop agitating the problem of getting prepared for your period, but there are really 3 parts to this journey that we hadn't addressed. And so now with Scarlet, what I think we're doing a better job of is not only agitating the problem for the parent, but also now that this Gen Alpha, they have a voice and they're ready to use it, where we can talk to them. But then we can also talk to the high school girls because they have a regular period. And so from a business standpoint, that's better for us because we have some regular customers versus I'll buy this before they're ready and then it'll be here and we'll have a great experience. But then I'm going to run out and just going to go to the store and get whatever's there. So, like, that piece of the business is still tricky for us to sew up. But now being a brand where, as a high school kid, you either go in autonomously or with your parent and look on the shelf and say, this is not for mom. And I'm like, it's cool enough to be for me.
Mhm.
And that for us, like, even when my friend did the repackaging, that was the knife's edge that we just could not figure out how to dance, was what is comfortable enough that mom feels like this is okay for my daughter, and what's cool enough that the big kids don't think this is a baby product. And that's really a hard knife's edge to dance.
Yeah, finding that balance because you're right. You need the buy-in of the parents or the caretaker or whoever. But to your point, absolutely the buy-in of the teenager because that matters more than anything. So that is a tricky balance. But I think you solved it. I think you ladies have really,
From your lips to
you know,
God's ears, it's an ongoing struggle, but thank you. I'll take that.
I think the other thing Nicole and I talk about is just how amazing how something started to solve one problem. You've expanded so much in a way, Monica, as you said, sort of thinking broader because it's no longer just about kind of where Nicole and I are on this journey is with younger girls. You're right. I purchased one product and then until we get to that point, then we'll need to sort of think about what's next. So I think it's so brilliant the way that expansion and just sort of natural evolution is happening with what you've built. And the reason I just got interrupted is I brought my kit in here, but we'll wait to, we'll show it because the actual pouch for the kit that my daughter keeps in her backpack, obviously I don't have because she's at school and she needs that. And it does give her that confidence. But I have now this is some of the older packaging because I told you I bought it a while ago, but it's just, I love it. I love the education that comes with it. It's just so thoughtful. You've thought so much. It's so much bigger than just receiving a product. And this little tracker that comes with it, you can't see online. So anyways, I got distracted because I'm like, bring it in. I want to show it.
Well, no, and I so appreciate that, Shannon, because think about how, but going back to the origin story, so much of that is what was Dana's original work. It was her concept. That little bag was the first purse. Now, granted, you could pack it yourself, but the concept is exactly it. The bathroom pass was her sign that she taught her kids. Like, this was all, it all is a homage to that initial teacher solving a problem that she did such a great job of.
Yeah.
I think that's what most great businesses are, to be honest. And the more and more I am in this part of the world of entrepreneurship, it's like when I really look at businesses, I'm like, is this fluff, or it's like, what are they solving? Like, what's the problem that they're solving? And I just, personally, like Monica said, this has really been hard. It has been a very hard journey. And I've just really tried to stay focused on, like, what you have said is like, I know when I leave this earth, I would have made an impact on generations. And while, like my oldest is 28 and my youngest daughter's 22, and prayerfully, they might have a daughter, right? And this is something, and my son, he's 19. And if he has a daughter, like, I just pray that, we're really just changing the narrative for girls of how they experience their first periods and their next periods. And too, for caretakers, like we get, Monica can tell you, like, I mean, honestly, people come up to us and they tell us about their first period experience off the rip. Like, we are best friends. Like, it could be extremely traumatic, and it usually is. And, and I'm thinking, like, y'all need therapy. It's okay. Like, you can go through it. Like, because it does impact what I have learned through this is that experience does impact how they matriculate or mature into womanhood, like what decisions they might make, or how they advocate for themselves as a doctor, or even, and while I don't have scientific data to say this, but even how they have, how they manage their relationships, like, and so it really, to me, is just that simple. It's like, if we can curate a positive, empowering educational experience that is desexualized, and that's really the key to, is that the first thing out of someone's mouth is like, oh, you can have a baby. Like, that's not what a girl wants to hear. I really think that it can change, it can change, it can be impactful for generations of girls. And that's all I really want.
And you've done that. I mean, I look back, I have a terrible memory. I think I've blocked out all of my childhood. I don't really remember. The only thing I remember is leaking on my clothes and people seeing that. And I must have been in junior high, and how embarrassing that was. That's the only memory I have. I don't have any memories of conversations with my mom about it. I don't know that there were. And so what I think is so nice now is that for parents to be able to have these conversations, to change the product so that, the kids are not leaking, or you have period panties. Like, there's so many different options now, and the environment's different. And that's thanks to you ladies. You did that. That's big.
Oh, it looks like you just dabbed. That was perfect. Oh boy. All right.
Well, we
Sorry.
appreciate it because, to be honest, it's like, and I'm sure Monica can resonate. It's like we don't hear these things a lot because when you're so entrenched in it, we talk about how we don't celebrate our wins, and to hear this from two moms who have, not just to me, like you're just moms, but you have made an investment in our brand for your daughter, like you trusted us to help. This is one of the most important parts of her journey. And so we just want to say thank you for trusting us because that doesn't go unnoticed to us. It's a really big deal. It's really a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
So we thank you for that.
Yes, we tell everyone, we want to share your story with everyone. I was telling my neighbor this morning, I sent her the link. I said, go buy this. I'm sitting here thinking of myself like, okay, how do we get you to go and talk to all the girls at school? There used to be this health education class, but like, let's get you into all the schools to have those conversations and have kids like, that's where my mind's going as I'm sitting here talking to you. Like I can't wait to see what you do next.
Same. Same. The thing I keep going back to is, Dana, you said when we were talking about the name that blood was always associated with trauma and being a traumatic experience. And I think that's so powerful because you're right. And the way that you're changing the narrative and the way that what you share in these kits for girls, it takes that scariness away, not just for the girls who are going to be experiencing, but as you said, for the caretakers who have to explain this to the girls, where that can feel very intimidating because, Monica, as you said, we didn't really have those conversations. And it's not anyone's fault. It's just the way generationally things have happened. And I think truly it is so powerful what you're doing. Again, not just for the girls going through this experience, but for us as parents and for grandparents, caretakers. And I also get chills thinking about it because you're going to see when you go through history, like there's this change that happened, a very positive change where it doesn't have to feel so scary, yucky, stigma, whatever it is. And to Nicole's point, like you need to be everywhere. We're shouting from the rooftops. I know my daughter, just watching her face when this came, it was like Christmas morning for her. And I'm going to be honest, we're probably pretty far away from when this will be needed, but for her to feel comfortable and confident knowing she has her little stash in her purse, it's everything because kids, like, it's hard to be a kid right now. So anywhere where I can give her a notch of confidence, like, yes, I'm doing it. And so I want to thank the two of you for what you've created to any way I can empower my girl. That's what I want to do. And it's just, again, I wish I had her reaction when it came because she had talked to me about how she wanted this for months before I actually did. So thank you for just having a product that is not only just a product that they need, but comes with all these extra things. It's so thoughtful. It's so thoughtful to take that stick. Like even thinking about little girls with the period tracker and stickers to make it just less scary and less intimidating. It's just brilliant. It's really brilliant.
It's a movement. You're creating a movement.
Thank you. I will
Yes.
say the one thing that I probably haven't said out loud, and Monica, I haven't said this, but the more and more I really go into this journey and I hear a lot, oh my gosh, where were you all when we started? Where were you all? And I was like, I was with you. And I was trying to, I mean, and I had a positive experience. Like my mom had talked to me. I started in 6th grade in my middle school. It was fine, like it wasn't. But what I also realized is that and not all certainly, but some of these experiences like yours, Shannon, like, they're healing the caretaker. Like they're really like going in and saying like, hey, I know I didn't have this for you, but I know this wasn't for me. I didn't have this for me, but I have this for you. And this is actually like healing me while, making sure you're okay. And the more and more I talk to women, and they tell me their stories, and they tell me like why you didn't, and it's jokingly like, why couldn't this be around for us? I realize that it's just a healing moment, you know, and that makes me feel good too. It helps me continue on the journey when it gets really, really hard. So
I
That's so
love
beautiful.
that.
Yeah, it's so real. You're so right. It is.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing and sharing your stories with us. We like to do something that's kind of fun, a fun little segment, if you will. And Shannon's gonna ask you some, what are we calling this? Rapid fire?
Fire. Yes. Are you ladies up for it? So essentially, we try to just end on just as Nicole said, a fun segment. The idea is I'm going to pose a question, and now it's different because we have two of you, which I love. This having two, so we're going to do a who's more likely, and then the two of you, it's just gut reaction, first response. It's supposed to just be rapid, but we always end up having some sort of conversation around it because it's just fun. Are you guys up for a little rapid fire session?
Go.
Okay.
sure.
All right. So who's more likely to have 47 tabs open at once?
Both of us.
Yeah.
I have at least 23 right now. So yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Who is more likely to bring snacks for everyone?
Neither of us.
Yeah, we're pretty good on the snacks. Like we over snack.
All right, here's one. I have a feeling it might be both. Who's more likely to work during vacation?
Monica.
Absolutely.
She
Now,
has
who's
her
more
own
likely to answer?
boundaries.
She has no boundaries.
She's getting there though. She's getting there.
It's hard.
Gracefully.
Boundaries are hard. And I know, Dana, you mentioned you're kind of responding to comments and social media in the middle of the night because one of our questions was, who's more likely to answer emails at 11 p.m.?
I would still say Monica.
I'm email, but I am on no social media. So you'll never catch me answering any social media questions. Like I do get the notifications, but I'm not answering them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Monica works. And to be fair, I have adult children, but she has an adult baby and she's away from school. So she has a little more time,
I have
guess.
no responsibilities externally.
I didn't want to say that like that.
Well, the other side is, back to business. We all make sacrifices, but I'm away from everyone that I know and love. I'm Jesus. Sorry. I don't know anyone in California. And don't get me wrong, I like California, but if I had a choice, I would not be here. But it's it's okay. But being here also separates me from the things that would be distractions. So I am fully locked in out here.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, I feel like maybe I could keep going, but maybe that's the right. What do you think, Nicole? Do we want to do a couple more? I
So-
feel that might be good.
I have one more question though. What's next? What's next for Scarlet by Red Drop?
I'm going to answer that question with a question because I so appreciate your passion. I feel like this is an opportunity to have a conversation with two people who are locked in on this phase of life, and it's almost like a focus group in some ways. And so I think that kind of what's next for Scarlet are some really good partnerships. And I would be curious from your perspective, if there were natural relationships that you would see Scarlet having because you have young kids. Like my kid will be 20 this year. Dana's youngest kid will be 20 this year. So we're a little out of the phase. I'm curious to hear from you. What would this phase of Scarlet look like in terms of this is who you should really work with to get to that next level?
Yes, I have, and I know Shannon will agree, I have some ideas.
Most definitely. She's the perfect person to focus group with. I love this.
Most definitely. I I have some ideas that I'm definitely going to share with you and see where those go. And also, like I said, I think that the schools, I feel like there's a way to partner with the schools at a certain, grade level. If you think it's fifth grade and having those conversations that they naturally do. I think they have like a sixth grade class, maybe is when they start talking about those things. But I know that this is just going to be in my home, your product for the next however many years. So you'll be on my mind for sure.
Yeah. And I think the piece around education too, I just feel like there's some other partnerships, things that could be done, doing some sort of, whether it's a book or just more around that education, or even utilizing all of the stories that you have in a way to make it just more accessible. And again, for me, the big thing is just taking away that scariness around it. And I could see so much opportunity there. I think from a product standpoint, doing partnerships with like backpack company like Jansport, so you have those cute little, putting it on a keychain because the girls all love to put their keychains on their backpacks, like really leaning into what these kids, what's interesting and cool, as you said, with the focus groups. I think it's endless. I think there's so much opportunity. And I think girls, the more they feel empowered, the more it doesn't have to be so embarrassing to like have to take your pad with you to the bathroom. And so I think the more it becomes just mainstream, being in Ulta, what an amazing, the girls are obsessed with going into Ulta and finding their products. So the fact that then they can find this, which again, for years was just so not talked about. It was like hidden. The fact that you are in Ulta with something that is so specific to their age group is everything. And I think as Nicole has also said, like there's so much more to come. And I think so many natural partnerships that are just going to happen. And we want to support the two of you and push this out. As Nicole said, here in our community, we tell everybody that will listen, and I know, Monica, you said you're not on social media, but we are pushing this on our social media accounts because it's important. It really is. And yeah, I think there's just so much more to come. And I think the fact that the two of you are so unwavering in the mission and why you started, I think that's why this is as successful as it is, because your mission is to help girls and caretakers. That's everything.
Well, thank you.
Well said.
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I know this is one of the most exciting mornings I've had, so thank you for that. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear this episode.
Me too. I'm so energized. I'm like ready. Let's go. Let's stay all into focus. Like
let's brainstorm. I feel like we got so many good ideas. Like the fact that you all know business the way that you do and have these kids, it's like you're such good thought partners. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's continue the conversations. Honestly, please, this is such an enjoyable way to start the day. Thank you so much. I could not wait for our listeners to hear this. So necessary.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
What a powerful conversation.
As moms, we're constantly looking for ways to help our daughters feel more confident.
What they're building with Scarlet by Red Drop goes far beyond period products. They're creating conversations, confidence, education, and support for girls and the people who love them most.
One thing that really stayed with us from this conversation is the idea that we're not just helping the next generation of girls navigate this experience differently. We're also healing some of our own stories along the way.
Dana and Monica, thank you for the work you're doing and for reminding us that even the conversations that once felt uncomfortable can become opportunities for connection.
And to all of our MomCom listeners, if you have a daughter, granddaughter, niece, student, or a friend who could benefit from this conversation, please share this episode with them. Thank you for listening.